Welcome to this introductory webinar to the USME Center's latest report on the beer market in China. Unlike other webinars, this is just a teaser, so we'll briefly review the content of the report, and if you want to access the full content, you can check the Center's website at www.usmecenter.org.cn. Let's quickly review the USME Center. This is an EU-funded project that was established in Beijing in 2010. This project is implemented by 6 chambers of commerce, those that you can see on your screen, and it's currently in its second phase. The center's objective is to prepare USMEs to do business in China by providing them with a range of information, advice, training, and support services. What you can see on your screen is the table of contents of the full report. We will not be going through all of these today, or at least not in detail, but it may be interesting for you to know what's included, so you may decide to purchase the full report on the center's website. We begin with an introduction to the alcoholic drinks market. We will see how beer performs compared to other alcoholic drinks. After this introduction, we have identified 3 main segments in the beer market. We describe, analyze, and quantify each one of them. We will see what's their market share and who are the main players for each segment. A quick review of the regulatory environment for beer is also included in this report. The geographical distribution of beer production, importing regions, and microbreweries is shown in a very graphical way in maps, and this can help you decide where to go first when you design your sales strategy for China. Consumers and retail channels are briefly explained in this report, and we have conducted some store checks. We have compiled different data such as pricing, formats, all of these sorted by different retail channels, and this can provide a clear picture for any EU SME on how the market really is and what are the things that Chinese consumers find for each retail channel. So let's start with the introduction to the alcoholic drinks market. The world consumes about 250 billion liters of alcoholic drinks, and beer represents about 70% of this. China, despite having an average per capita consumption, is the largest beer market in the world by far. It's followed by the States with about half of what China consumes. When we take a look at the breakdown of the alcohol market in China in terms of quantity, we can see how beer is the most consumed one by a long way. It's followed by spirits, which is mainly Paisio, and then other drinks, such as wine. However, things change dramatically when analyzing the breakdown by value. Beer is the cheapest alcoholic drink, so it is relegated to a second position well behind Baijiu, and still, of course, more than wine and other drinks. Now that we have seen how big the beer market is and how it compares to other alcoholic drinks, we will describe how the market is segmented and what are the most interesting segments for European producers. Instead of the commonly used standard, premium, and super premium segments for beer markets, we have used one that is different, and we believe that represents better, in a more accurate way, the Chinese market. We have divided the market into 3 segments: mass-consumed Chinese beer, leisure beer, and craft beer and foreign brands on tap. Mass-consumed Chinese beers are domestically brewed. There are not imported beers in this segment. They are low-priced, about €1 per liter, both in standard food service and retail. They are consumed in 600 milliliters returnable bottles in food service, and in retail also in bottles, but mostly in 330 and 500 milliliters cans. They are consumed by people across all income levels, all over China. Those in the lower income levels will be consuming this beer almost exclusively. These beers are homogeneous pale lagers with low alcohol percentage, between 3 and 4%, with a similar composition and taste. And the largest brands are Snow, Qingdao, Yanjin, and Harbin. This is a mature market. It's actually decreasing around 3% annually for the last 3 years, which goes in the opposite direction to the other two segments that are growing a lot in the last few years. These beers are consumed along with meals, Chinese meals, so they are very common at any Chinese restaurant. Please pay attention now to this segment, this leisure beer segment, because here is where most of the opportunities are for EU SMEs. This segment belongs to foreign brands, either domestically or internationally brewed. They sold at a high price, on average 12 to 13 euros per liter in bars. Of course, less in retail, but still high prices. As these are all foreign brands producing either in China or abroad and importing their bottles, they have the same bottles that they would have in other markets. So you can find the same 330 or half a liter bottles. Cans are also available, but are less common than bottles. They're consumed by urban and high-income consumers. High prices require certain wealth, and this happens mostly in Tier 1 and Tier 2 cities. But now with the development of e-commerce, you can also enjoy these beers in any other city almost all over China. There's a huge variety of beers, many different flavors and brands competing in this segment, that it's growing a lot. The largest part of the import total, that grew 38% in 2017, corresponds to this segment. So that's an approximation of the growth of this market. They're mostly consumed as an standalone option or with finger foods, either at home or bars, and not so commonly with Chinese meals or other standard meals. The development of the local craft beers and foreign beers on tap have followed a similar path, both in time and characteristics. Chinese consumers had barely any option to drink foreign beers on tap 10 years ago, so now gastropubs that offer a wide selection of foreign brands on tap and domestic microbreweries are perceived in a similar way from the consumer's perspective. Prices are very high, around 14 euros in average per liter, which is incredibly high if you compare it to those sold in the mass consumption segment. They are served typically in 400 to 500 milliliter glasses, and they are consumed by urban, young, high-income consumers that are looking for the experience that the beer provides and also the place where they consume the beers. These pubs usually offer Western-style meals, American comfort food mostly, and they're located in Tier 1 cities, Beijing, Shanghai, and South China. But lately they are developing a lot and very quickly into Tier 2 cities. There are many different beer types, although ales prevail, and all these types come from very few players. Chinese regulations require a huge production capacity for bottling beers, a quantity that is impossible to achieve by any microbrewery, so unless they outsource this part, they are left only with the option of selling their beers on tap in some pubs. There are a few foreign groups in this segment, being AB InBev the most relevant by far. They're aggressively pushing to gain market share, and now they successfully driven brands to be sold on tap, such as Stella Artois, Goose Island, or Hoegaarden. In this epigraph, we have extracted data and built maps in order to find out where is beer being produced in China, what are the main importers regions, and where is the craft scene developing. If we take a close look at China's beer production statistics, we can appreciate how beer is literally produced in every region, province, and municipality in mainland China. The largest producer is, unsurprisingly, Shandong, that is home to Qingdao Brewery. It is followed by Guangzhou and Henan provinces, and these three top beer-making provinces are also China's most populous. The correlation between population and beer production is very high. We have analyzed China customs data for 2017, and we have established where the major importing companies are located, and we have seen that they are mainly located in the east coast. Guangzhou in the south, Xiamen, Shanghai, Beijing and Tianjin in the north, and all these are major consumption areas for imported beer, but some of them, especially in the case of Xiamen in Fujian province, are also distribution hubs for other provinces. We have analyzed China customs data for 2017, and we established where importing companies are located. The results are that most of them are located in the east coast, Guangzhou in the south, Xiamen, Shanghai, Beijing, Tianjin in the north. All these are major consumption areas for imported beer, but some of them, especially in the case of Xiamen, act as distribution hubs for other provinces as well. USMEs should take this information into account when designing their sales strategy for China, especially to decide where to visit in order to find potential importers of their beers. When we try to measure the size of the craft beer market, we find that it is very difficult due to the limited data available. In this case, we have used the beer count, which is the number of different craft beers sold in each brewery in each city. It's very limited as an indicator, but due to the lack of more reliable data, this can illustrate a general trend, which is that craft breweries concentrate alongside large cities in the East Coast. They are mostly located in Tier 1 cities, Beijing, Shanghai and Shenzhen mainly, but are slowly appearing in other cities, such as Chengdu, Wuhan or Shenzhen in the north. They are located in large cities with a high income per capita, and another significant fact is that most of the larger domestic craft brewers started up their business having an important share of foreign consumers. Cities with a large crowd of foreigners offer the best environment for microbreweries to start up. Once a skill is achieved, Chinese consumers represent the largest share of revenue.
Access the full report via USME Center website. This 48-page report encompasses useful and practical information on market size, trends, geographical distribution, retail channels, price ranges, as well as consumer demands. Get started with your approach to the world's largest beer market with a sound plan, which this report will help you delineate.